Nice morning here.
Yes. Welcome to episode 9 or 8, whatever, of this. And I'm joined by
Liam Wade.
Awesome. And I guess to start things out, as all things do, I guess you kind of have to give them an introduction to be like who you are if they don't know who you are, and just stuff you enjoy in FFA in general.
Well, my name is Liam Wade. I'm the Alaska State Vice President. My home chapter is the North Pole chapter. I come from a little town in Alaska called North Pole, Alaska. And the funny thing about North Pole, Alaska, I think, is that we have candy cane street lights. For the longest time, we had a guy legally named Santa Claus on our city council as our mayor. And I joined FFA my freshman year, and I haven't looked back once.
Yeah. And you are also going to be a future farmer on Mars.
Yeah,
If I,
yeah.
yeah.
Mars has always been my dream. My mom won't quite let me go yet. She hasn't signed the permission slip, but one day I hope to be up there with the aliens.
Oh, yeah. When I saw that, because I like to do like a tiny bit of research before I ask anyone to do something. So I was just going through and just seeing things, and then I came by that interview and I just said your dream is to be a farmer on Mars, and I never really think about agriculture off Earth because it's not really something that you really think about, but I think that would be so cool. But the problem that I guess you'll have to run into is the technology of it and the I guess the ability to get there in the first place.
Mhm.
Because the round trip is going to be costly no matter who you're going with. But I mean, I think that would be just in general a great idea if it works, of course. Under the assumption that it works, which
Under the assumption.
under the assumption which to be determined. 2050, we'll figure it out then. But
Yeah,
it's only
growing
20.
up in Alaska, outside is about as close as you can get to
Oh yeah,
the Martian environment,
there's
without, the
dumb.
lack of oxygen.
Yeah,
So, for the past 3 weeks, it's been a good -40, -50 where I live, and it's been like that pretty much the entire time I've grown up here during the winter. So, I got really close to growing crops indoors, and I was like, "Well, what's the next step up after this in my life?" I was like, "Well, I guess I have to do the real thing now and be interested in going to Mars." I've always been super interested in space and, the whole concept of, flying out. I watched Interstellar
yeah.
maybe 2 dozen times.
Yeah, here in Kentucky, it's a nice, chilly 60 degrees. So,
Oh, I envy you so bad, Connor. You have absolutely no idea how appealing that sounds to me right now.
yeah, a lot of my family, they're from way up north. They're from Maine and New York, upstate New York. So, whenever they come to visit, they're like, "This is so much nicer." Because I have family from Buffalo, and they get feet of snow every year. And then when they come down here for Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's like they can go outside for 2 minutes without having to wear a jacket, no matter I guess what the weather is, which is nice. I like that we have great climate because it's not too hot, not too cold. It's the nice even, the
Mhm.
nice even. So, and you have a podcast called Beyond the Corduroy, right?
I do.
Yes.
Started actually around the same time as you there.
Yeah.
Right the end of June, early July.
Yeah. So how'd that I guess come to be? Did you just wake up one day and I'm gonna do this, or did you just got some inspiration?
Well, back in middle school, I had a pretty profitable and pretty successful podcast that I just decided to go ahead and do because I had a passion for talking to people and interviewing people and just being like a goose with my friends.
Hmm.
And it was about like being a middle schooler, and it was the whole concept was a guide how not to be awkward. And it like I was awkward myself. I was horribly awkward. And as it shifted, I started at early 6th grade. And then when I was a 6th grader, COVID hit and I had to shift my premise into like, oh, this is how I'm surviving COVID. And I had a lot of good success with that. And so I had skills built up early on that I was self-taught in like how to edit audio, how to record audio, how to publish it. I figured out trends like hashtags, whatever, how you follow those things.
Yeah.
And I just kept that info in the back of my brain for the longest time when I stopped doing it. And about late April, early May, I was talking to my newly elected state officer members, and I was like, you know what would be so cool? Like if we had a podcast together. Like if like that'd be so cool if we could get somebody on every single month from around Alaska. We only have around 500-ish members, 19 chapters. And I was like, that is something completely plausible. We could do that. We could talk to them. Like we already all know these people anyways. We've been friends with them forever. And all my state officer team was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I was like, okay, the logistics of getting people together consistently. Most of us are still in school. We're full-time students, or we are still like working jobs on days that we're not doing state officer work. And I was like, okay, I have all this time during the summer. I need to lock in. And I was like, what if instead of just telling the stories of Alaskans, something that I'm already familiar with and something that I would be per se comfortable doing, I decided like let's go tell the stories of people who don't typically get shown in big screens or like be able to be heard. So I came up with the concept of Beyond the Corduroy. And initially it had other names like Beyond the Jacket, like FFA Untold. But then I realized all of those are apparently already podcast
Yeah.
names. And I decided like, okay, I'm going to make it a thing that I learn the stories that aren't told and talk to people and make connections. And the connections that I made through Beyond the Corduroy have spanned beyond what I could have had just typically following somebody on Instagram or meeting somebody at a convention. Like it really, even when you're at convention, nationals, and you meet somebody and you're talking to them, you're maybe talking to them for 15 minutes. You move
Yeah.
on pretty quickly. Like you have places to go, workshops to attend, competitions to do. So I really learned that if I was able to talk to people and sit down with them for an hour and a half, like I could form a bigger connection with these people. I could learn more of their story, and a story that often doesn't get told. I think a lot of these kids are so amazing, and FFA
Yeah.
students are so amazing, and they produce such amazing stories, funny, sad, inspirational, like the whole 9 yards. And I thought it was unfair that we don't have something that tells those stories. And so additionally, I ran and applied for FFA in the USA to be able to tell those stories more and get to talk to students. So that's something that I'm doing right now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Getting to meet students from around the country, not only
Yeah.
from my small little town of North Pole, because there's only so many times you can talk about Santa before people are like, okay, we get it. You
Yeah.
have Santa Claus.
Yeah, and I admire that because FFA is so I think it's bigger than we all like think about it be. Like 1 million active members is a
It's
lot.
crazy.
It's crazy. And then like certain and the amount of like stories that like we hear and the amount of stories that we don't is just mind blowing because I think that everyone has a story to tell, and I just think, having a place for them to share that super important because we all come from different backgrounds. We're all diverse. Like, I'm from a non like uh, I guess traditional agriculture background. Um, I don't live on a farm. No one in my family has ever lived on a farm, but I'm still in FFA and I love agriculture and just like having like telling the stories for people like people like me who are in urban environments or people who are from traditional farming environments so that we can like get to know each other and just like being like, oh yeah, we are common. We all have like similar we're all in this together, right? We all do this because we like FFA and agriculture, regardless of like when or how we fell in love with it.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
agree 110%.
yeah. And I think the interview format is seldomly used in this. And I think the main reason like I kind of do it is for that for similar reasons. And like my main thing is that I've always like noticed that people find state officers and national officers and people who are officers in general like a bit, I guess, a way above them, if that makes sense. And I've always like felt like, but they're not. You're a normal person. I assume you're not like a lizard person to be determined, but
To
we're
be
all
determined.
to be determined. And I was like, okay, and that's eventually what this turned into, just like it, sharing the like and humanizing you guys in the most like best way because you do it because you love it. You were all regular FFA members once. You weren't always a state officer. You weren't always Liam Wade, the host of Beyond the Corduroy. You were Liam Wade, the North Pole FFA member.
Hmm.
So, how did you actually get into FFA?
Well, I I don't quite actually remember. I have this issue a lot where I kind of come to myself and I'm like, why did I want to join FFA again? I think I'd heard about it through the grapevine, and my school was like known for it. We were one of our state's chartering chapters in 1976, one of the, I believe, 9 chartering chapters that we had. And so we had this history of being a huge FFA chapter, and I'd always heard stories about how the FFA used to manage big fields and used to plow them and sell all the hay to like local farmers. But I didn't see that anymore. I joined my high school and I was like, where's this FFA at? Like, I don't see it. And so I kept it in the back of my mind for so long. And it's like January of 2023. I'm a freshman sitting in my English class and I go up to my English teacher, who's the senior teacher at my high school. I'm like, where's FFA at? Like, like, what is FFA? How do I join it? And she was like, I don't really know. It's been defunct for a couple years pre-COVID. And I swear about a week later, I manifested it into existence because I get a call over the intercom and it's like, anybody interested in joining Future Farmers of America, FFA, please come down to this room at lunchtime. I'm like, oh, Future Farmers of America, the thing that I've been hearing so much about. And I go down to this classroom at lunch. It's a room full of probably about 50 kids who are interested in joining this. And up there is an old cranky man, and he's like, okay, here's what FFA is. Here's what it can do for you. And I'm like, great. That is what I need. I need to be a farmer. I had a huge interest in hydroponics when I was early on in my high school career, and I still do. And I was like, okay, so this is how I can get hydroponics going and like use my skills and my passions and grow these things. And my now advisor comes up to me and he says, hey kid, can you public speak? And I was like, I guess so. He was like, can you memorize something? And I was like, maybe. And he was like, okay, so there's this thing, it's called the creed. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna memorize this. And I was like, well, I guess I have to now. Like I've been told by the old man that I have to memorize these 5 paragraphs. And he's like, okay, regionals is in 2 weeks. You have to lock in and memorize it ASAP. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. And then, like, as the weeks dwindled on, less and less kids started coming to these meetings, and I'm still sticking around. I'm spending every day in my math class whenever I'm bored. I have a little notebook where I'd consistently just write the creed over and over again. If I messed up, I'd start from the beginning. and like you don't know how crampy your hand can get when you're writing 5 paragraphs over and over again, and on the very last line you'll mess up and you'll be like, well, I guess I have to start again. So I kept myself pretty determined in that factor. And then when I went to regionals, it was my first time putting on an FFA jacket. And I don't really even think I really knew what the FFA jacket was at that point in time. But he told me just to come to school in a white button up and a blue tie. And of course, I come in a short sleeve white button up and a tie of the NFL Raiders. And he's like, that will not fit here. And so he didn't have another tie. So I went to my first like FFA event in an NFL tie. And the jacket that he gave me was his daughter's who'd graduated about 10, 15 years back. It had association on the back. It had Taylor Armstrong, state president, on the front. And like, there's something really humbling about putting on somebody else's jacket that holds so many memories and so many like old time keepsakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to remove all the medals from it. I had to put them all on the inside. And so I'm walking around, I'm jingling. And everybody's like, why has this guy got an association jacket on from 2011? And I'm looking a little rough. My hair is all scraggly. And I am just like so nervous to compete in Creed. And I'm like shaking, I'm sweating. And I get called in for Creed. And I give a rough recitation of it. But I was still proud of myself because I did that in 2 weeks. Like I memorized 5 paragraphs and I was able to answer questions about agriculture, a field that I was recently introduced to, really. And this room, it was also pretty rough that I gave my Creed recitation. It was 2 adults as my questioners and then 1 probably 7-year-old keeping time in like an office spaced area. So really, really small. I'm like 3 feet away looking down on my judges. And I give this Creed and it's super rough. I come out of the room and my advisor's like, so like, how do you feel you did? And I was like, well, I feel pretty good. Like I'm like, I did pretty rough in there, but I'm super proud of myself for what I did. It's like, that's what FFA is about. And then at the end of the day, they're calling out FFA announcements. The entire day I was having the time of my life. I was around a bunch of kids who like are interested and passionate about learning and education and like being leaders in their community, something that I always kind of sought out. And they're calling out these FFA Creed like winners. And they call out the first 2 names. And I'm like, okay. If I'm not second place, then I'm first place. Like that's what goes through my brain any single time I'm on stage. And it's like hearing second place not be my name is 10 times more like nerve-wracking than hearing my name not even called at all. Because you're entirely dependent on who got second place. And I hear second place called and it's not my name. And I'm like, okay. Like, this is crazy. I'm freaking out in my chair. And number 1 is called and it's my name. And I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, whoa, this thing I learned 2 weeks ago, I'm already going to state now for. And my advisor pulled me aside as we're about to leave. And he's like, hey, I haven't been to nationals in a couple of years, but I'm excited to go back this fall. And I'm like, what do you mean? Nationals? Why would I be going to nationals? And he's like, well, you're gonna win Creed State. And I was like, am I? Am I gonna win Creed State? Like, are we manifesting this as well? And I was like, I'm so proud of myself for winning it. And the one thing that I said is, get used to it. And if you want to instill cockiness in a kid, that's what you say to them.
Yeah.
You tell them to get used to
winning.
Get used to winning. And so for several months then I consistently was practicing. every single moment of the day, every single hour, I spent learning the creed. And it eventually got to the point where I was driving to state and somebody could say they'd pull up FFA.org, they'd go to the creed, like that specific one,
Mhm.
and they'd say line 16, word 5. And I could start from there. And I was legendary with it. And I went up on stage and well, hold on, let me back it back a bit. I was I was so nervous on this car ride down. It's about a 9-hour drive to our
Yeah.
state convention. It's pretty long. And the entire time my car is giving me creed questions because I'm the only one competing that year. And the entire car is asking me all these questions. I'm still in a jacket that doesn't belong to me. Uh, Still Taylor Armstrong. But I get down to Creed and I'm in a holding room. And there's 3 other kids with me. And the 2 other kids in that room are nervous as all get out. Like, genuinely, they are like more nervous than I've ever even seen myself. And I was like, these are my best friends. Like, we're on the same wavelength here at the moment. And we're quizzing each other on the creed
That's
and
awesome.
I really found a lot of friendship in that waiting room where I myself was nervous and I could see that they were nervous. And so every time somebody went on, we would like, good luck, man. Like, go get them. Like a form of rivalry that I hadn't seen in the sports that I competed in since I was a kid. Like, when you're playing in sports, like your competitor is your competitor, like through and through. But in FFA, like that's your friend. Like you're both in the same boat together. You're both nervous. You're both ready to possibly fail, but you're going to do it with the backing of your friends. And I get on stage and I give a beautiful recitation of the creed. And I was elated. I went full American mode and one of the questions I still remember to this day was like, what is the distinction between progressive agriculturalists and FFA members? And I went up on stage there and I said, there is no distinction. Like, there is no distinction at the end of the day between progressive agriculturalists and FFA members. There's no distinction between progressive agriculturalists and Americans. Every American is agriculturalist because we are consumers. And I went full Americana mode and like talking, giving the best speech of my life, like presidential worthy. And I was on stage 2 days later, waiting for my name to be called, waiting for second place. And again, I didn't hear my name called for second place. I'm like, holy cow. Like this is so cool. And so I get off stage. I now have a plaque that says Creed speaking, leadership development and state FFA winner 2023. It's hanging right above my computer where I get to wake up every single morning and look at it because it's something that I'm super, super proud of myself for. And when I tell you, like, oh, that makes a kid even cockier to hear 3 months back, get used to winning, and then to win again 3 months into being an FFA member and now be going to nationals for the first time, something that my chapter hasn't done in about a decade. And so for then, I keep practicing. I keep practicing. And then I'm at nationals. And Alaska hadn't sent a Creed speaker in quite a while because of COVID. And so I'm the first Creed speaker to roll around. And I am sitting in chairs, the holding room. There's about 45 other states there. And they say, Liam Wade, North Pole, Alaska, are you here? And I raised my hand very, very shyly. I'm sitting there. I've been up since 2 a.m. that morning, writing down the creed on hotel napkins. So I am pumped for the day. I am pumped. And then I am talking to all these people in my holding room. I'm like, hey, I'm from Alaska. Like, like, where are y'all from? And I made some lifelong friends in that room, some of whom are state officers now. I've seen region district officers come from that. I've seen people drop out of FFA. Like, I've seen a lot of joy and hard work come from that room. One day when I have the money, I'll do a research study behind the correlation of creed speakers and future leaders. And I'm the first one in my holding room to go up and be called. And I go and I give my recitation of the creed in this a lot smaller room than I did at state. I gave my recitation of creed at state in a room full of like 300 people, and now I have 5 judges and maybe a couple adults and parents sitting around the room, some supporters there as well. And like I get up on stage, or what little stage they have in this little holding room, and I give a really good recitation of the creed. I think I fumbled one word. I was up since 2 a.m. that morning. Give me some
Mhm.
slack on that. And one of the questions that was asked was like, what is the importance of the creed? I still remember this to this day because I didn't have the answer until at the end of the day. Well, I responded, I was like, well, the creed isn't like the 10 commandments of farmers. Like, if you don't follow them, you're not going to farmer hell. And that's something that's still brought up to me to this day by national staff, where I've had national FFA staff come up to me and ask me about farmer hell. Do you know how crazy that is? That my answer, my
Yeah.
stupid answer of farmer hell made its way to headquarters. And I obviously did not advance.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was so bummed out. I was so bummed out. And I was like, at least the nervousness rolled off
Yeah.
my shoulders. And the entire nationals, I won't say it was ruined for me, but I was kind of bummed because I was like, here's my first experience.
Yeah.
Like, I lost. But on my way back, I'm thinking like, why did I even do Creed in the first place? Like, why did I join FFA? Like, what enticed me about FFA? And I think it's the reason why we have Creed be a freshman
Yeah.
competition only. I think Creed teaches a lot of things that you can't learn in a lot of other places or a lot of these other competitions early on. Like, it teaches determination. It teaches you to have a good basis and a good knowledge of the agricultural industry. I myself don't come from an agricultural background. Both my parents are teachers.
Yeah.
Like, so I had to teach myself the entirety of US agriculture, and it really pushed me forward in my passion to like know about this stuff and to be up to date on like corn prices. Like, I know it's said that corn's grown in every single state
Yeah.
in FFA. Yeah, technically corn is grown in Alaska. Very rarely is it successful. Uh very rarely do we have a commercial product of corn. So, like, I learned pretty quickly that I had to be determined to be a creed speaker. Like, I had to know this stuff and I had to push myself outside my comfort zone. 14-year-olds don't typically get up on stage and tell you 5 paragraphs of the creed. Like, that's a hard thing for even the most polished public speaker to do. Like, to have something memorized down to the grain. I did prepared public at nationals this past convention, and even my speech, like the speech that I've been practicing for about 2 years now, I didn't have it memorized. Like, I had concepts down, and
Mhm.
I knew how to bounce between concepts. But if I had to memorize every single word down to the grain using this exact verbiage and give the same questions over and over again, it would have been 10 times harder. And I still look back on my Cree days and I'm so proud of myself because I pushed myself extra hard. And doing Creed and joining FFA really taught me a lot of those skills that I otherwise wouldn't have learned. I don't believe, or at least that I tell people and I when people ask me like, how do you get so good at public speaking or not being embarrassed? It always goes back to FFA. Like I've always given FFA the glory for teaching me like how to take pride in my work and how to take pride in the fact that I'm going to lose sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's okay to enjoy winning, but when you lose, you need to understand why you lost and what there is to gain from that loss and how to turn that loss into an opportunity to grow and be better. And I think that if I had won at nationals my sophomore year for creed speaking, I would not be who I am today because I would have not learned that vital lesson of it's okay to lose. It is okay to get kicked out first round. It's okay to be
Yeah.
humble. It's okay to have humility in those moments when you feel like you are on top of the world. You are this Alaskan guy
Mm.
who is making strides in North Pole. Like, yeah. So I joined FFA because I saw an opportunity to make myself better. And I'm glad that FFA has given me that opportunity because I would not be who I am without FFA today.
Yeah, and I've asked that somewhat of the question. I think the answer is almost universal that like that who they are today is because of FFA, regardless of the reason why they joined it. It all has like a very similar outcome as to
Mhm.
like it has made them a better person. Maybe they're not going to go into the agriculture industry after, FFA, after they're done with whatever they're doing, but they're still going to have those fundamentals, the fundamentals of public speaking, of just making
Mhm.
that connections, just being involved and just being an FFA member in general and just following, I guess, like you said, corn prices, like just being able to do research on your own, having determination, just being able to be like, okay, I lost, but there's always next year, and just building up that like I guess skill set of like being an adult, for lack of a better term, and something that I'm sure everyone is scared of.
Very much so.
Very much, yeah. And I guess what? So you've been to National Convention how many times?
I just attended national convention for my second time. This time is my first time as a state officer, and it is when I tell you it's a whole different world, like whole different world than it is as a member. But I loved it.
Yeah. And um, what I guess did you for your second time, because this is the first time I guess that you've kind of gone into it, you know, being having the knowledge, and being a state officer, like did you notice like anything I guess different about your experience, or just what did you gain from it that I guess you wouldn't have otherwise?
Well, to start off with the simple answer, I learned how to wear a backpack always because when there's only max about 30 of your state at a convention and everybody's looking for the photos, everybody's looking for the signatures or to sign their t-shirt, like
Hmm.
holy cow. And the funny thing is, like, I could be casually walking somewhere during nationals. Nobody would notice me. Nobody would notice me. I could have blinking lights all over myself. As long as I'm walking casually, nobody cares. But the second I'm in a rush somewhere, look, it's Alaska. Look, they have North Pole on their back. And like all of a sudden it's like it's a photo shoot.
Hmm.
And I love it nonetheless. There's a lot of my original chapter mates who would get super overstimulated by it. But like I was in love with it. Like these guys are interested in hearing about my hometown. Like
Hmm.
I want to talk to these people too about their hometown. My favorite interaction that I ever had with somebody was they were from some like random town in Arkansas. And they were so interested in learning about North Pole and like what goes on at North Pole. And I'm like, pretty much the same thing as goes on in your town, Arkansas. Like not
Just
much.
colder.
Just colder. Yeah. Like we have a Walmart. And I was like, so what goes on in your town? They're like, actually, Walmart was founded in our town. And I'm like, that's so cool. Why don't you like tell that to everybody instead of just saying you're some random town in Arkansas? And like those little connections aren't things that you find when you don't. I mean, obviously, I'm in a rush 24/7,
Yeah.
running around, but
Get into those
be
delegate
able to
meetings.
get into those delegate meetings, but getting to talk to somebody and be like, you have this super cool fact about you that you might not find cool. Like, you know, I don't really care about the candy cane streetlights in my hometown. Like, those really don't mean anything to me because I see them every single day. The same way somebody whose Walmart was founded
No
in their
doubt.
town means something. Like, so that's one thing, like knowing when to wear a backpack and knowing that if I do walk any faster than about 2 miles per hour down Convention Hall, that I will be swarmed. And anytime you want to take a phone call, somebody's always going to want to talk to you, always. But additionally, there's a like you were talking about kind of earlier, it's hard to humanize people of importance a lot. And when you're a state officer, you meet a lot of people of
Yeah.
importance very quickly, consistently. And it's very hard to keep yourself in a state of like, oh, they are people too.
Yeah.
So the fun thing about being a state officer at National Convention is on top of all the state officers staying in the same hotel as you,
Mm-hmm.
the national officers stay in the same hotel as you. So you'll be talking to your friends in the lobby, and all of a sudden, there's Jack or
Yeah.
there's Thaddeus, and you're like, hey guys, and like you have to humanize yourself for a moment because you're like, these are just people, and they're all cool people. Uh, they're all super super dope, and they all like. I know it's stereotypical to be like, oh, they're different on stage than they are off stage, but like they're just all kind and they want to be there. I know you have that relationship with Caroline.
Yeah.
Like
Because she's from my
Caroline,
chapter.
that see, that's super cool though.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, this year was awesome because our senior Parley team went to nationals. We had a finalist for the American Star Farmer, Nathan Clark. He was a finalist. So it was just, and then Caroline Growth being from our chapter, it was so fun because we got to do like so many things that I don't think anyone else get to do because we got um like these on the floor seats reserved for us from Caroline and just for her retirement address and just having stuff like that is just it was so cool.
Yeah, Caroline's the best. She
Yeah.
came to last year's state convention for Alaska, and I wasn't very familiar with her, uh, but I was excited to meet her nonetheless.
Hmm.
My chapter was really holding out hope for Thaddeus Bergschneider, but I'm very glad that we got Caroline. And Caroline was a part of my nom-com process, actually. And they asked us, all of the state officer candidates, to go up on stage,
Hmm.
say our name. Hey, I'm Liam Wade. I'm from the North Pole chapter. Everybody claps.
Hmm.
And then you have to say one fun fact about yourself. And I got up on stage. I said, hey, my name's Liam Wade. I'm running for state office. I'm from the North Pole chapter. Everybody claps. And then I was like, my fact is that I did performative hip hop for the
Hmm.
majority of my life. And I got off stage. Like, obviously, that's a funny fact about me.
Hmm.
Like, when you look at me, you're like, this kid doesn't dance. Like, Footloose is not in my blood. Even when
Yeah.
I was in hip hop, like, I, I
Hey,
sucked, for a lack of a better word.
don't feel bad.
But I
I
have
also
this
I also I also did hip hop dancing and dance.
exactly like
Yeah.
take pride in the fact that you did something cool, like what you went out of your comfort zone. Being the only boy in a dance group,
Hmm.
it's weird at
Yeah.
times, but like it makes you get out of your comfort zone. And I got off stage and I'm sitting down in my seat.
Hmm.
The seat's really tiny. It's a small auditorium. And Caroline comes up to me and she's like, I have to know, is it true that you did dance? And I was like, yes. And she's like, I thought you were lying. I was like, no, I did dance. And like, it's a big proponent of why I am the way I am, like why I can stand up on stage and be comfortable
Yeah.
doing stuff in front of people. And she's like, I did dance too.
Hmm.
And I think there's something to be said about doing the arts. And we had a good long conversation about that. And then Caroline also, when I was doing my rounds for state officer, where we were having to do like mock interviews, like where we're
Yeah.
talking through a situation where the other person's like playing a character. Caroline was somebody who came up to me at a ball game and saw that I was a part of FFA and wanted to know how they could get their own FFA chapter started. And so I got to talk a lot about, even though we weren't being legit and in the moment,
Yeah.
I was able to talk to her a lot about like how I was a part of the rechartering of my chapter and how we all had to give gifts. Like we had to get jackets given to us
Hmm.
that weren't ours, or we had to order them from FFA through the Gift of Blue. Like we had to do a lot of the stuff that really forces you to be resilient and
Hmm.
like take time. And she came up to me afterwards, and I don't remember the exact words that she said, but she came up to me in the auditorium and she was like, "Liam, I just want to let you know that you did an amazing job in that interview. Like, I know I don't have any role to play in you becoming a state officer, but I just want to let you know that if it was my choice, you would be up there already." And like, Carol, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And then, like, so just having those role models, like Caroline is 100% a role model. And just, yeah, it's crazy to be able to humanize those people who are like, for a lack of a better word, like superheroes
Yeah.
to you. Like, I can't even imagine having a national officer within your own state. Like Alaska, I believe I haven't done the records quite thoroughly enough to make this fact truthful. But Alaska is the only state in the union that hasn't had a national officer. And like that's crazy. Like I mean Alaska's pretty small. We're a relatively new association, but I can't even imagine how proud you feel
Yeah.
when you see somebody not only from your own state, but from your own chapter, like up on stage making impacts and getting to hear their impacts. And like I can only imagine the emotions running through you as you're sitting on session floor
Yeah.
and you see Caroline get up there.
It
Like
was,
that is a beautiful moment.
yeah. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was one of the best experience I think I've ever had in my entire life, FFA and otherwise. Like it was just so fun to like you said, hearing these people who are not from Kentucky, people who are not from our chapter, but have being able to like say like talk about how amazing Caroline is was just so like awesome to hear that like not only is this person, from Kentucky, she's 20 minutes away from me. Like she's in my city. She goes to University of Kentucky. She's not that like far away, and it's just so awesome to like just have that experience to
Mhm,
like to have like someone on like a decent level like being in that like position, and then having these like national officers like being able to meet them because Thaddeus Berschneider came to the Kentucky leadership camp training camp the week that I went, and that was awesome.
I'm so jealous of you guys having camps, by the way.
Yeah.
I've talking to a lot of state officers, and they're all like, "Oh, we just got out of camp season." And I'm like, "Camp season? I had to go sit in my home over the summer.
Yeah.
Like, I had to wait for the next time I could see my state officers because we didn't do anything over the summer." So I'm so jealous
Yeah.
of pretty much the entire South. Like the entire southern region all has camps.
Hmm.
Like, oh, you lucky ducks, bro.
Yeah, and then and uh our chapter we do it on the week of on July 4th. So the entire that week
I can
is
only
just
imagine.
yeah, it's the last week, the last day we have like this humongous fireworks show where we just like all lay in the field uh near the campgrounds and just watch the fireworks. and then you get to see Aiden Manley, our state president, wearing these red, white, and blue coveralls, and
See, that's a sight that I
yeah,
would pay for.
yeah, I'm sure there's pictures somewhere of that, and just and then like having because we have like these weird like Olympics things where like you get split up into groups and then we compete in like different events, everything
Mhm,
from like zero turn racing to swimming. Like they had like a swim race, they had a can and the cherry on the top for all of it was um like a cannonball competition in the
mhm,
pool, which so amazing to see. It's just so fun and then all of that and then like all that fun and also having the like I don't know the making connections with people from Kentucky FFA. Like I've
mhm,
made friends from people from Nelson County, which is about an hour and a half away from where I live, and then learning skills of like how to be the best possible officer that you can be, how to be the best committee chair that you can be, and then
mhm.
building like these skills and then these base levels through workshops. It's awesome. You should visit sometime if you
Well, when the
can.
Kentucky people send me my invite, I'll let you
Oh
know.
yeah. it's it's amazing. And then what I guess makes Alaska FFA like is there anything that you can think of that is like when people ask you what is Alaska FFA all about, you're like this and this like
Um, I discovered this recently, and I recently had to actually. I called my state officers
mhm
uh, out of the blue. I called my group chat because I found this information so like utterly interesting. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah
Only about half of them picked up. Uh, but I called and I was like, guys, I just found out something really weird. Texas FFA has more students enrolled in agricultural education than we have people aged 0 to 18 in the state of Alaska. And I was like, how do you ever compete with that? How do you ever compete with that? And it goes back to something that I've struggled with for the longest time, where it's like I come from such a small state, and it's very, very easy. I won't say very, very easy. It's easier to succeed to a certain extent in
mhm
Alaska than it would be to succeed in a place like Texas. When I went to nationals for Creed speaking or even public speaking, I only had to compete at districts and then I had to compete at state. And for both times, I was maybe competing against maybe 5 people, 10 people max. And one thing, a phrase that I replay in my brain like toxically is it's easy to be a 10 in a world full of ones. And not to say that Alaska is anything, but like not to say that Alaska is a room full of ones. It's just easy to succeed when you're given a lot of opportunities in a state so small. And so I've always kind of struggled with the concept and mentality of like, I am where I'm at today because I was born in Alaska. I am where I'm at today because I grew up in a small state where I
right
was able to be recognized easily and like I got to meet my state officers all early. One thing that I'm super, super proud of, and I'll probably include somewhere in my RA,
mhm
is the tie that I used up until this past December was a tie that was given to me at my first districts when the state vice president saw that I was wearing a Raiders tie and he took his very own tie off and gave it to me. And I've been using that same tie all 4 years of high school. And like I was able to have those connections because I was in such a small state. I used to feel really, really bad about that. And that's something that sounds so weird to feel bad about. But I used to feel less than, and I used to feel like insecure about my achievements because I felt that they were less than those of somebody from another state. And it took a lot of time for me not to feel horrible and for me not to feel like I was inadequate
Yeah.
in my positions or that somebody else maybe deserved my position because I got these opportunities that other people don't. But I realized that it's okay at the end of the day that I was born in Alaska. I had these opportunities because I was from a small state. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people because I was in a small state. When I went into my state officer rounds, the entire nomcom I was friends with. I had known them all. I had been in competitions. I had been in holding rooms with them. We had cried together. Like, despite nomcom being biased in that fact at that point, then, like, that's something that you don't experience. Like, where you're getting to go through these pivotal life moments with somebody else because the small nature of Alaska. I I don't think Texas has that. I think that's something that Texas lacks. And a lot of time when I'm so jealous of Texas or like California or these bigger state associations, I remember that like I don't know what's a good way to phrase this. Like I am truly friends with 500 people. And I would much rather be friends with 500 people than half know somebody for 6 hours out of 100,000 people. And I would much rather develop connections with these 500 people and get to know all these people and have them supporting me and have them consistently backing me and be able to go to district competitions and like see these people around my state and be like, hey, how's it going? And be able to have a genuine conversation with them because I know their family, I know their siblings. Like I've been around them for so long. And that was something that really helped me get out of my mindset of I am inadequate because I'm from a small state. I was able to turn that inadequacy into an opportunity and realize that, you know, maybe if I was in a different state, I wouldn't have made state office. Maybe if I was somewhere else, I wouldn't have one creed or I wouldn't have one prepared public. I wouldn't have gone to nationals twice. That's something that maybe people only do once, if ever. And I use all the experiences to empower me to do better. Like, I use these experiences to be like, okay, if I don't feel like I'm adequate in this moment, I have two options. I could sit here and feel bad for myself and be like, somebody else should have this. Like, why don't I resign? Why don't I just quit doing what I'm doing? Somebody else can do it better. I use that thought to keep me going, really, knowing that I can accomplish really anything that I put my mind to when I am feeling negative about my circumstances. Because I can tell you, going into Creed at 2 weeks of being an FFA, that's a negative experience. That is an experience where you're like, every odd in this world is against me. Every single chance statistic is saying that I should not be able to be here, but I am here nonetheless. I am standing in this room despite all odds, despite every factor, despite being a new chapter, being a new FFA member, knowing nothing about agriculture. I stand here today. And I stand here today because I persevered and I got past the fact that I felt bad about persevering. And I won't say imposter syndrome because it's I know that I have worked hard and I've made sacrifices for my positions. But you get to the point where it's like I can always do better. And I have only used that to empower myself more, to be the better, to be the opportunity and take that chance to move outside my comfort zone. I was just writing an essay last night for a college because of course I am. I and I was writing it last night and I was talking about like they asked how my experience growing up determined my educational values. And I talked about how I grew up in a family where for the majority of my life I grew up on a single parent income. And I talked about how my parents, since I was young, always told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be, like as long as I put my mind to it. And quickly on, I realized that putting my mind to it meant more than just imagining myself as an astronaut or imagining myself as like a politician or something like that. It meant genuinely putting the work in and making sacrifices. And how that concept and experience of knowing I had to work so hard to achieve my dreams, knowing I had to work so hard to pursue my passions, really made me who I am today because I had to be the person who was going to jump out in front of a crowd and say, "Hey, here's this thing I have an idea to do. Uh, here's why I'm here. Here's what I'm passionate about. Here's why I'm going to try hard to achieve the things that I believe in. Here's why I'm going to advocate for my community and advocate for my state and understand that even though I'm not Texas or even though I'm not California, I don't have 100,000, 80,000 people behind me. Like I have 500 friends who are more than willing to support me. I think that's the best thing about growing up in Alaska. I've always had support systems and I've always had 500 people standing with me. And when I was on that stage and I got my name called down for state office, like looking out into this crowd of friends and family, like I was I was a wreck, man. I tell you, I was an absolute mess. And they pull you off stage, um, and they say, "Okay, you have 15 minutes. Go talk to your family, and be back in this room because we're gonna have a meeting." And so they gave me 15 minutes, and everybody kind of went their own separate ways. I ran my chapter, and I had like tears in my eyes and like my hair's a mess. My OD's all like half unzipped and I'm like I'm sweaty as all out. But and like one of my like all the girls in my chapter are crying. The two guys that were there are also bawling and I'm like tears streaming down my face. And yeah, it makes me super super proud to be from a place where those support systems exist. And I'm able to have such close knit relations with people, even when I feel like all odds might be against me. And I wouldn't trade it in the world. Like some nights I'm like, oh, I wish I could go to camp, or I wish I could consistently be on the road. Uh, but that comes with sacrifices. That comes with not being able to form such close bonds. And I'm thankful to be where I'm from. I'm thankful to be able to form small relationships and relationships nonetheless. And that's another reason why I kind of did the podcast. Like, I wanted to form those relationships outside of my home state and be able to start to meet people and learn about their agriculture. Because that's I don't make this vocal a lot, um, for obvious reasons. Of I mean, I'll never put very many things in stone, but I want to learn about how people experience FFA and why they experience FFA because it helps me develop my own journey and how I view FFA. Because one day I want to go for national office. Like that's something that
Yeah.
I've been passionate about since I was a freshman in high school, like getting to see what national officers do and the impacts that they make and like the motivation that they give others. That's something that I always wanted to do myself and be the change that somebody felt. And I don't know, be a trail breaker and not always look on Alaska like, oh, pity us because we have such a small base. But like look at us. We are a strength. Our our smallness is our strength. I would say that Alaska's pumping out the next generation of farmers. I would argue, I would argue, and this will ruffle a few feathers, but I have the stats to back it up. Alaska's putting out the next generation of farmers, I'd say more than some states in the lower 48 are, because Alaska has the highest number percentage of youth farmers. It has the highest percentage of women farmers. I think farming in Alaska is agriculture at its finest. It's perseverance. Like nothing's going to go your way. I've I have safety nets in my production of hydroponics. Like, and the amount of times I failed because of like Alaskan impacts or Alaskan factors, the amount of times I've had to bring space heaters or like stay up at night wondering if my like produce is gonna stay warm during the night, if we're gonna have a power outage when it's -40 outside, or like the complete risk of entire crop failing in our summers, or like that's risk. That's agriculture at its finest. I think it's pushing out incredible agriculturalists, and it's putting out people who are willing to fail. And I think that's what agriculture is all about. It's being a farmer is being somebody who's willing to fail and willing to take a risk against all odds, even though it might seem like it's against your financial or your self-interest. It's I don't know, it's incredible.
It
That's
builds perseverance.
yeah, that's why I'm an FFA. Like it taught me perseverance, and it continues to teach me perseverance every single day because I'm at a point in my life where it is so easy to get bogged down in staying and conforming to an idea or staying and conforming to well, for the rest of my life I could go into the easy route, or I could like do this and have a nice family with a nice job, 2 kids, white picket fence, everything. But a part of me doesn't want to take the easy route. A part of me enjoys struggling. A part of me enjoys taking risks because I've seen that taking risks has gotten to me where I am today. Putting my name out there as the Alaskan who's going against the grain and doing things that like other Alaskans and even other like Americans and people from other states can't do. Like that empowers me to go against the grain and to take risks. Because even though I will 9 times out of 10 fail, that one time that I don't fail is 100,000 times more impactful than any emotion that I'm going to feel from the failures. And it's something that listening to others and talking with others and hearing their own experiences with FFA has really taught me. And an experience that, you really can't get in an algebra classroom, or you really can't get in like a physics or a history class. You can get tidbits, but you can't get the full experience until you're really trying to change yourself and take a risk and step outside a boundary that people might not even know exists. But there have been a lot of obstacles in my way throughout my time. And there have also been a lot of stepping stones. But both of them are rocks. And both of them I'm going to treat the exact same. Both are an opportunity for me to continue my walk forward, continue making differences, and continue bettering myself and bettering my community and advocating for students who go under the radar or aren't heard or aren't like being told their stories. I've met a lot of amazing, amazing people throughout my time in FFA. People who I'm like, how are you not wanting to run for president when you grow up? Like, how is this not something like on your list of things that you want to do, or you want to go like save burning babies from orphanages? Like, like there's just so many incredible people that I've met in my time here where I'm just like, how is nobody writing amazing stories about you. I want to be the person to tell your story, and I want to be the person to make your voice be heard by others. Because at one point in time, I was the person who wished my voice would be heard. And now that my voice is like not to brag, when you look up Liam Wade, Alaska, there's 3 pages worth of Google results.
Yeah.
like, that's something where, yeah, I don't know. It's, I hope to be the change in somebody's life. So right now I'm journaling for my RA that's coming April. And one of the things that keeps coming back to me is like the concept of death and the concept of time and being willing to like take a moment and sit down and like understand why you're here and like what you really get out of life. And I keep coming back to death. And I'm like, one of the questions I've been asking myself recently is like, not to sound morbid or anything, like if I were to die tomorrow, would I be content with dying? Would I feel sad? Would I feel mad? Would I feel like I haven't lived enough? And I can arguably say that if somebody came to me today and was like, "You have terminal death uh, via tomorrow," I'd be like, "Okay." I would call my parents. I would call my grandparents. I'd call my siblings, and I tell them I love them, and I tell them those things that, like, I feel like are the only things that I truly would regret not doing. I've experienced death in my life. I experienced the suicide of one of my childhood friends about a year and a half back. And I can honestly say, like, I haven't finished processing that death in my life. And like it's weird to go through that emotion and be like, I wish I could have a moment with you. I wish I could have that extra day. You made me who I am. Like these impacts made me who I am. And trying to be better and learn from those experiences and understand that if I myself were dying, I would be content, but I would want to be looked back on highly. I would want at least one person to attend my funeral and say he made somewhat of a difference, even if it was me opening a door in -40 when my hands are frostbitten shut to this metal like handle. Like even if that's the difference I made, so be it. Because I don't know why I was put on this world. I don't know the purpose of it or what purpose I will serve in life, but I think that at the moment I'm trying my best to be a difference in somebody's life, even if on small scale, even if it's opening a door or giving somebody the opportunity to speak their mind and publishing that interview and telling people why this person believes the things they do and why they have the passions they have. I think that that's tenfold an impact that I could ever make than if I wanted to like, I don't know, lay around and do nothing, take the easy route out because it's so easy. And then sometimes I get demoralized and I'm like, well, it's been -40 for 3 weeks. I haven't seen the sun in a couple days. I'll see it one day. And so, I tell you, man, I spent my entire Christmas break. I just got off Christmas break this past Wednesday. So I'm getting back into school now.
I got off mine on Tuesday, so.
Oh, it's rough going back, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
But I spent my entire Christmas break kind of laying around. I would doing more journaling for my RA. But like it's it's rough to stay motivated during these winter months, man. I'll call it what it is. It's seasonal depression. Uh, but talking to people and being engaged with my community has really helped me. And being involved with FFA has helped me. Because I found the most passion in FFA students than I have in any other organization. In Alaska, out of our career technical student organizations, which includes like HOSA, skills, whatever, Like Alaska's the premier CTSO because we have the most foundation, we have the most development. And I think that it's so vital that we do have these career technical student organizations because things like FFA, things like HOSA, things like Skills USA, FCCLA, like those really are pumping out the next generations of productive Americans, like Americans who are going to go against the grain and be change makers and trail breakers. I'm so thankful to be a part of an organization like FFA. And even if I was in an organization like HOSA or Skills USA, I think I could still find those skills. I'm so thankful to be where I'm at today because I put myself in uncomfortable positions and I called out to people when I needed help and I asked for help and I wasn't like too stuck up. So, yeah, that's the long-winded answer.
I mean, I welcome long-winded answers because I don't think with with questions like that, I don't think you can give a short answer. At least I don't think that you can truthfully give a short answer if you're not like dumbing down what you've done and what you do. But yeah, thank you for being here.
Well,
I've had
thank
a
you.
great day.
I hope you have an amazing day, Connor. Thank you so much.
You too.